Derby Langan dialed in. He's thrilled with his front row starting position.
These guys always come to Daytona ready to qualify and have a car that's capable in the Daytona 500. And Hendrick Motorsports, I mean, the engine and power that we bring is second to none. And so, I don't know. It did surprise me. I didn't think we had a shot in the front row. And when I heard we were on the front row, I was pretty darn excited.
Danica Patrick's pole-winning speed of 196.434, followed by Gordon outside the front row, 196.292 for the four-time champion. Trevor Bayne, Ryan Newman, and Tony Stewart rounded out the top five in qualifying, with Casey Kane, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, Joey Logano, and Matt Kenseth rounding out the top 10. Saturday night, Kevin Harvick went to victory lane for the third time in his career. He picked up the checkered flag in the Sprint Unlimited, held off Greg Biffle, Joey Logano, Tony Stewart, and Matt Kenseth. Eric Almirola, Casey Kane, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Martin Truex Jr., and Juan Pablo Montoya completed the top 10. Sprint Cup Series teams return to track on Wednesday for practice, and they'll be back in action for Thursday's Budweiser Dual Twin 150-mile qualifying races. That's the Morning Drive News for Monday, February 18, 2013. I'm Pete Pistone.
Now, the Morning Drive.
Obviously a quite humiliating experience.
Sirius XM NASCAR Radio, Channel 90.
London calling to the faraway towns. Now war is declared and battle come down.
30 up and 30 down. We're back on the Morning Drive. So glad you're spending your Monday morning with us as we head to the hotline and we bring in the crew chief for Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Steve Letarte is with us. Stevie, good morning to you.
Morning, guys. What's going on?
Well, we're over here kicking off a brand new week. Sounds like you stuck around. I thought you were going to be hightailing it back to home base today, Steve.
Well, I considered going back, but, it's funny with technology now. You can do just as much work, really, from outside the office. And
actually, probably get more done being outside the office.
Well, that's actually the honest truth. It sounds bad, but that's the absolute truth. I've got more emails sent this morning than I would have if I was at the shop. So, just going through our list, getting prepared for the second half of Speed Weeks, working on our Phoenix stuff, just, work as usual.
Let's talk about your weekend. Let's first start with Saturday night. Budweiser wow. Here we go.
Busch Clash.
Busch Clash show was run Saturday night.
It's at least $1 at this point, yeah.
It's a
eighth place
$1
finish.
every time somebody says that.
Eighth place finish in the Sprint Unlimited Saturday night. Your thoughts on that run? A lot of folks were looking for that 88 car to make it up front, just never got there.
Yeah, I was one of those folks that were looking for it. It's really difficult. We're not going to make excuses. Everybody has the same opportunity, but you come down here and you practice a little bit. We had 2 runs at it in the draft down here. We thought we had good speed. The car handled great. And, same thing really on Friday night's practice. We kind of limited our risk. You saw a lot of cars get tore up, and I believe that, those wreck race cars, you haven't seen the effect of those yet. As you get later in Speed Weeks, the decision people have to make will be affected by how many cars they have left. And so we decided to run a relatively small pack, and we thought the speed was good, the handling was good on the 88. But on Saturday night, they drove great, handled great, never wiggled, never slipped a tire. I think the cool conditions definitely helped everyone handle good. And it just it had a good speed to get to about 4th or 3rd or 5th, but could never be the front car in line. And, it's something we hadn't seen in testing, we hadn't seen in practice, but it was pretty obvious on Saturday night. It just couldn't break through that barrier to be the first car of a line. And that's something we need to work on. So we created our list. Dale's very good at breaking down, especially speedway races, what he needs the car to do a little bit different. And we're putting those ideas on paper, and we'll work them out. But, just like the shootout, it's very hard because you really can't learn much of that in practice. With the cars blending and the small packs and people on different agendas, you really don't learn. So we'll put as much as we thought of it and we can and prepare the car the best we can for Thursday. And then, really that's your next big chance to test your car is Thursday in the 150.
And then what compounded your problems on Saturday night, some contact between Dale Jr. and Tony Stewart, a little damage there to the left rear. You guys came down pit road between segments. Had your pit for the MRN broadcast, saw the hammers coming out. So that didn't help matters at all.
No, it didn't help matters. I don't think that was a big contributor. But, you don't know with this car, so I can't tell if it was or wasn't. you know, it was just a unique race. You know, with only 10 or 11, 12 cars out there running around the top, kind of single file, it was hard to make anything happen. You know, the 20 had one of the best cars for the first half of the race, and with 3 to go, we were back there riding with the 20. You know, we couldn't make anything go, and I think that kind of shows how important having a fast race car is, but more importantly than that, you kind of got to be in the right place at the right time, and we were never in the right place at the right time on Saturday night. So, you know, it was very disappointing. We wanted to start Speed Weeks off a lot better than that, but at the same time, we learned a lot, and I think that's really the key to that race is to, you know, everybody wants to win it, and I'm not making excuses. We wanted to win it too, but if we can use that race to improve our chances in the 500, then it wasn't a wasted night.
Talking with Steve Letarte, Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s crew chief for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Follow him on Twitter at Steve Letarte or go to LetarteTMD21813. Stevie, what happens to that shootout car, or dang it, that unlimited car
$2
after Saturday night's race? What happens to that? Will that make its way back down to Daytona for the 500 festivities?
Yeah, I mean, so basically that's the plan is we sent that car home on Saturday night. We replaced that quarter panel that was damaged in the race there and put it back to the paint system. And it really, we have another car that we put in our truck Saturday night, which is our 500 backup. So that car really becomes our third car. So we'll get it back repaired, put it together, and we're going to really decide when it will come down. You know, we're actually going to repair the 48 as well, which had a tremendous more damage. So it might sit up in the shop next to the 48 car and wait for that one to be done. If we have issues down here, then of course we'll load it on a truck and bring it down. But with a car here already in our hauler, that being the third car, it's repaired, it's ready to go, but it'll probably stay in North Carolina for most of the remainder of Speed Weeks and just kind of, you know, be out in the bullpen, and we'll see if we need it.
Now, the other thing on Saturday night, with those cool temperatures, I would imagine that's going to be the most grip that those cars are going to have on this racetrack because the rest of the week's supposed to get pretty warm down here, and you're going to be out there in the middle of the afternoon.
Let's get there. I'm ready. I'm ready for 90-degree days and a hot and slick racetrack. You know, I think that's really what got us. I think the reason the 88 didn't look very well is we worked very hard in January on handling. You know, without taking speed out of the car. And I think Saturday night everyone handled. I think the kart track was cool. It was gripped up. We knew it was going to be. But I think that took away some of our advantage. And that didn't allow Dale Jr. to go out and do his thing that he's great at, which is, you know, making an ill-handling speedway car on a slick track look good. There was no ill-handling cars, so everybody was pretty much wide open, and these cars were so even. I mean, if you just look at qualifying, you know, we ran a flat. I thought we should have ran a 90. A 90 puts us third, you know, so we ended up 11th. I mean, qualifying is so tight that when handling is not an issue, no cars are going to really look better than others. It's going to be really situational and where they end up on the track. So we are excited to get to the second half of the week. It's supposed to be mid-70s on Thursday, but I'm hearing in the 80s on Sunday. Sounds like a great day for a fan to come out and watch the Daytona 500.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. qualifying 11th yesterday. He'll be in dual race number 1, starting in the 6th position there. Does it make a difference what race you start in? Obviously, we race in the afternoon, but from a crew chief's perspective, would you rather be in one duel over the other?
You know, sometimes it matters who's in the duel with you, but if I have a choice, I take the first duel every time. Just from a schedule standpoint, you know, we'll race and we'll be done before that other duel is started. We'll have an opportunity to work on our car. That gains us a couple more hours. We can change motors. We can, you know, hammer out any dents. I prefer to just get the race underway and get it going. I think I don't think there's a preference on which duel as far as which one you have a better chance in. I think, you know, there are races that each one can go green, the other one can be crash filled, and that's just how the races work. So, you know, the biggest thing is we wish we were starting closer to the front. You know, we were disappointed with our qualifying lap. We've had good speed since we've been down here. Pretty confident we didn't have anything for the 10. You know, it's hard to find that sort of speed showing up. Worked really hard to try to make the car fast, and our first lap was exactly what we were looking for. We ran a 50, and we had been picking up about 0.6 of a second. Thought we had a 90 coming. That would have put us up in the top 3 or 4. But, you know, it's fallen our way the last 2 years, so you can't complain. You know, 2 years ago we sat in the pole. Last year we qualified 3rd. And you guys have been coming down here long enough. Daytona is a very touchy place. The wind is gusty. Everything has to line up for things to go your way. And I don't think anything was done wrong, but either the wind or something didn't come our way yesterday. And by no means do we have a shot at the front row, but we wish we would have been higher than 11th.
Well, you do have a teammate up there, and Jeff Gordon. He'll start outside the front row, but you mentioned you didn't have anything for the 10. Nobody did. Danica Patrick on the pole. Your thoughts, Steve, about what it means for this sport to have Danica Patrick win the pole for the Daytona 500?
Well, I think it says a lot about this sport. It says a lot about really not just the sport, but society kind of in general. You know, where we've come as a society to not only have a female driver in our, you know, what I consider the most elite motorsports really in the world, in my opinion, you know, the toughest competition, but for her to be able to come down and sit on the pole for our Super Bowl, I think proves, you know, that opportunity's out there for everyone. I think it helps even someone like my little girl. She can be anything she wants to be. And I think that's a great step, and I'm glad NASCAR is a part of that because, you know, as a sanctioning body, as a sport, I think we have come a long way in 20 years in that mindset, and this is kind of the peak to that so far. And I'm sure one day we'll be sitting here talking about Danica Patrick being the first female to win a race. And I think that would be cool.
I think it'd be cool too, but you know, you work with obviously, you know, one of the sports, if not the sport's most popular driver with Dale Earnhardt, and he's always under the spotlight. So is Danica Patrick. Do you see similarities between the two in their personalities, how they deal with that spotlight and that popularity, Steve?
Well, I'll be honest, I never really spent any time around Danica, so I don't know her very well. I know that I've obviously spent a ton of time around Dale, and you know, he handles it very, very well. You know, I don't think people could ever dream of what it's like to be Dale Earnhardt Jr., and there are 1,000 positives. But there's also that weight of the sport. I mean, he carries it on his shoulders, and he would never say that. He would deny it. He would, you know, he's not the guy that wants to jump up and down, but we all see it. We hear it in the cheers. We hear it in the crowd, and you know, he bears that burden with a great attitude every day. And when I became his crew chief, you know, I didn't really think anything of it, but over the last 2 years, I have been able to see it firsthand, and it doesn't affect him at all. He does a tremendous job of managing it, and, you know, he shows up every day ready to go to do his best, so, you know, I applaud him.
You talk about the pressures that Dale Earnhardt Jr. faces. What about you, trying to put him in position to win races and championships?
Well, I've always said that, you know, I feel the most pressure from, you know, myself. My job is, as much as I would love to help the sport, help the fans, you know, we have 500 families in Hendrick Motorsports that depend on these 4 cars to go out and run well. And without a doubt, they're going to be our biggest pressure. You know, we want to make sure that when it gets to the racetrack, and that's why I'm so disappointed about yesterday. It's only qualifying. People can say what they want. But Hendrick engines covered the front row. Hendrick Evans covered the front row 3 of the last 4 years, I think. You know, we had the tools to go sit on the pole. And when you don't, you have to ask yourself, man, what did we miss? What did we miss? And, you know, you can only find so much here. But we thought we were going to be the second or third best Hendrick car here as far as engines go. You know, we thought we maybe couldn't catch the 10. 14 was pretty fast, but we were right up there with them. And then qualifying day, we fell a little short. And, you know, that can be disappointing at times because 500 people back at Hendrick Motorsports, in my opinion, did their jobs. I put it upon myself to do my job and try to get the best results. So it can weigh on you at times, but, yeah, there's no job I'd rather have. So it's, you know, I've always been that guy that I'd like to have the ball in the final second. So whether I want it or not, I have the ball most of the time. So it's fun, and it beats a real job for sure.
So today and tomorrow, traditionally, quote-unquote, dark days here at the track, although now we have the Battle at the Beach, the short track action. What goes on with the race team from here until Wednesday, Steve, when you guys get back on track for final practice before the Budweiser duel?
Well, you know, I think the thing we all forget about down here at Daytona is our Phoenix truck leaves Monday night. You know, it's a West Coast race, so when we get home from Daytona, you know, trucks get home late, we have to leave Monday night for Phoenix. So these 2 weeks are used to especially this year with a new car, what did we miss for Daytona? Was there a part or a piece or something we need to have built? We have a couple items we have to build just to make sure we're prepared for speed weeks. But a lot of it is, this is your opportunity to have NASCAR's, you know, ear. You've been down here for a weekend. I've had my chance to go over to the truck and ask John and speak to some of the officials about how we want to check this versus that. We finally get to see the first interpretation of the rules, and it's been a great learning experience for the sanction body and the teams. And now I can take those handful of items and apply those to next week's cars, the Phoenix cars, get those kind of ahead, and then, you know, just try to be prepared on all fronts, because as much as we all want to win the Daytona 500, you know, Phoenix pays the same amount of points, and to make the chase, you need to run well in all of them. So, you know, that's really the job of a crew chief. The job of a crew chief is to make sure you're looking out and setting the plan for the entire shop, and you just can't live in the now. So, you know, there's a lot going on. A lot of cars need to be done.
Well, appreciate the time. Look, we'll let you get back to that email. I know it's a productive morning. We don't want to derail that. Get back to work, and we'll talk to you later in the week.
All right, guys. I appreciate you coming on, and hopefully you'll have me on next Monday with a whole lot better news than a ninth place finish in the Sprint Unlimited. So appreciate it, and hopefully the Speedweeks will turn around and we'll get some better finishes here in the second half.
Well, hopefully we'll be talking to you in person next Monday. If that happens, that means you're joining us in our other studio as winner of the 500.
I never thought I'd say this, but having an interview in person with Mike Bagley would really top off my whole week, I guess. So.
Thank you for leaving me out of that crack.
By the way, thanks for laughing over that. You just killed the promo. Come on.
All right. See, I gave you a plug, and way to go, Pete. But thanks, guys. Appreciate having me.
See you,
man. That's
that wasn't a promo. That was his crack.